I love most about books like A Memory Called Empire is they're all encapsulating world building. I think that's really what, for me, separates like good sci-fi fantasy from really good sci-fi fantasy is the ability to create a world from the ground up and to not leave anything out, to establish different people groups, to establish different languages, to establish what war means to these people, how these people communicate, how these people have communicated in the past, and how that harkens to their future, how all of this is interwoven. It's like they've created an entire thorough history, and it's seamless. I think my favorite part of these kind of sci-fis is the linguistic aspect, and I think it's because it's so difficult to pull off. A Memory Called Empire does this so freaking well, where she has Mahit, who is from one specific people group, coming into a world that uses a completely different language, and she talks about word structure and different sentence structure and the poeticism of different languages. And as someone who's studied languages for the majority of my life, it's just really thrilling to interact with languages in that way and to imagine how the alien language works. Like the fact that, you know, a different alphabet has to be used and it's talked about, and how, you know, one culture has multiple words for the same thing that another culture has only one word of. Like that is just, it just blows my mind how thoughtful every aspect of A Memory Called Empire was from the ground up. I think the culture of this people was really also the driving force for the plot. There were times when, you know, I wasn't 100% sure where the novel was going. At the same time, I knew that the author did. And the end, the conclusion of the novel was so set into the culture, the ancient and the modern culture of the planet that Mahit was on, that it just made sense. It was so cyclical, which in and of itself was so apropos of the culture that she had created for us. Initially, I wasn't skeptical. I was excited to read this book. I try my hardest to read the Hugo and Nebula winners because I know that they're going to be good, or I can flipping hope so. But this one, I was a little bit upset because I had read Gideon the Ninth, and A Memory Called Empire beat out Gideon the Ninth for the Hugo in 2020, I guess. If I had to choose which was my favorite, I don't know if I would actually be able to choose. Like that's how hard it must be for these Hugo like boards to figure out who the winner is every year. This is my field of study. This is my field of enjoyment. Like, I have been inundated in sci-fi and fantasy. I've made it my career. And so I can only imagine what other people who have years of experience making like sci-fi and fantasy writing their career would have done with these two incredible books and all the incredible books that they have to sift through. One of my favorite parts also, this is something that I love about having queer authors writing stories, is that I have the ability to like hope, actually truly hope that something is going to turn out queer, and then I also have the satisfaction of it actually being queer. I remember like in my childhood like just being like, oh well, like I would love if these two characters were going to be together. I know they're not going to be because that would make them queer, and that's never going to happen. It's so nice to like be an adult and see the stories that I love be that way. That's just, it's fire. I always have a soft spot for chaotic bisexual characters. And so when, and this is spoilers, when Mahit was going through Iskander's memories and she saw a glimpse of the relationship between Iskander and the Emperor, Sixth Direction, the whole time I was like, oh my god, Iskander, did you fuck the Emperor? Like, please tell me you fucked the Emperor, please. And to find out that he did was so satisfying. Like, it was so freaking fun. I was like, yes, yes. Like, the station told you that you needed to just wheedle your way into the, like, Texicalian, I butchered that, you know what I mean, freaking into that government, and you were like, got it, I'll fuck my way to the top. Like, oh, it was so hysterical, but also just so sweet. And I think that like really encompasses just my feeling on the whole book. Like, it was so funny and so sweet. Like, it was like eating just a ripe ass strawberry, this book was. Also, the use of memory. I've seen this, another book that a little bit had this, or a similar thing where a character was inside another person's head, was Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. Sorry, I had to find the topic. I love the interplay between two minds in one body. But I also loved the distinction of memories. I loved how it was contentious, that other populations were confused by this, and I loved the explanation for why it was necessary for this station. Once again, I think that the world building was seamless. Like, there was nothing under-explained, there was nothing like over-explained. It was just, this is how they're living their life. This is like, if you were on the edge of space and you needed to remember these things, like, people needed to actively remember them, not just like relearn them. No, people needed to remember them forever. That would make absolute sense. And to imagine like generations upon generations of people, like-minded people, being like bonded together like that was so intriguing. And it really like brought up this like ethical thing of like, who are you then? And she discussed all these questions. And I think that at the end of the day, she left it open-ended enough that we, the readers, could come to our own conclusions and view it however we wanted to view it. And if we thought that it was a bad decision, then we could think that. And if we thought that it was cool or like different, then sure. I just thoroughly enjoyed every step of this novel. I will say, I guess if I had like one critique, it's a little overwhelming in the beginning. It definitely takes a second to get used to the way that it's written. It's very poetic. There's long sentences with words that you don't know. You're really kind of immediately thrust into everything. I think for me, around page like 50 or 60, when, you know, key characters were starting to really appear and there was the beginning of the mystery of how Iskander died, I was more able to understand what was going on and I felt more grounded in the story. But I think that like chapter 1 took me an extended period of time to read through, just because I had to go like slow to understand what the hell was happening. But it's worth it. Like, get through the first chapter and like it's really good sci-fi. Well, I was gonna flipping film here, but I guess we're gonna have to freaking wait. Rosie. Oh. now she's getting comfortable. Yeah, those stains are because of you.